Hi, I'm Erika Del Sordo. Welcome to today's Talk with Erika. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel and audio podcast platforms. You can find all links to my websites and mobile app. Yes, take me on the go on either Android or iOS. You can also find my audio podcasts, IMDb page, live casts, and social media pages in the info section. The all-in-one Linktree link lists everything you need. So today's guests are two very special people in my life. Brian and Connie started the 9463 Foundation, a statewide motorcycle ride in honor of Sgt Chris Reyka. I need to warn you, this is going to be an emotional show, but one that is near and dear to my heart, as it is for both of my guests today. So to help those of you understand why the 9463 Foundation was born, I need to walk you through the events of how Sgt Chris Reyka lost his life. On August 10th, 2007, 51-year-old Sgt Chris Reyka of the Broward Sheriff's Office pulled someone over for a traffic stop and was then shot and killed in the parking lot of a Walgreens in Pompano Beach. Police did not immediately have a suspect in the case. Now, when deputies arrived on scene, Sgt Reyka was lying there alone. One deputy in particular arrived on scene first. He's with me today, along with his wife, Connie. Now, I can't wait to talk about the amazing things that the 9463 Foundation is doing for the families of fallen officers. Brian and Connie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You are absolutely welcome. Thank you for being on. Now, there is a pretty specific reason that you chose 9463 as the foundation name. Is that correct?
There is. With Sergeant Chris Reyka's badge number, and at the family's request, we used to be the Sergeant Chris Reyka ride, and it was a little too emotional, so they asked us to change it. So we changed it to his badge number, a little less personal when we go on these rides and events that we do. So that's how we now have the 9463 Foundation.
That makes sense, and it's wonderful. Now, I've known both of you now through my fiance, who has joined you on the state ride since the beginning. And I have to confess something. In 2007, I was working as a news and traffic reporter for both TV and radio. My shift began at 5 a.m. And as I turned on the TV, this story was already unfolding throughout the night. My first thought was, oh my God, his poor wife and kids, his poor family. And mind you, he has a beautiful family. But 10 years later, when I met you, his other family, I didn't immediately think of his BSO family back then. But holy cow, does he have a huge police family who loved him and were there for him and still are. So you took this tragedy and you did something simply amazing for families of fallen officers. Let's talk about the 9463 Foundation. What year was the first ride? Talk me through what it is you guys do.
Well, the first ride was 6 months after Chris was shot and killed. It was a one-stop ride from the site of the crime scene to the grave site. And we had lunch after, and then we went to the Police Hall of Fame in Titusville, Florida. It was a one-day event. Since then, it has expanded to where we visit during the state ride where an officer was killed the previous year. It's the same thing. We get to meet the family, the co-workers, the administration, the political officials, whomever chooses to come out that day and honor that particular officer that was killed in the line of duty in their jurisdiction.
Okay, so now the state ride is coming up. Where do you begin the ride? I know you go throughout the entire state of Florida. Where does it end? Ride us through a typical week-long ride with the 9463 Foundation.
Well, we usually choose a starting point that obviously honors one of our officers. And this year, and for the last couple of years, actually, outside of 2020, we would start in Miami. There was an officer down there. His name is Officer George Clyde. And he's very involved in our foundation as well. And he has set up at Miami Police Department, North Miami Police Department. He sets up an amazing send-off for us. They cater a breakfast. They have every motor unit in their area, every department in that area in Miami that comes and helps us and escorts us. We go there, we honor their officer, and they send us off. It's the support that we get from them is just, it's amazing, along with every other department, of course.
That's amazing. But talk me through, because what you guys do for them, there's a reason you do this ride. And what you do for fallen officers' families, the spouses, the children. What is it that you do? And that's why there is such a huge warm welcome, because they know the magnitude of what you're doing for these families.
I think of a lot of it has to do with the initial of once they're gone, they're forgotten. And our purpose, our main purpose, is to make sure that every officer who sacrificed his life, every family that sacrificed themselves as well, are never forgotten. We've made so many friends and acquaintances along the way, but for us to come to them, to their department, to meet the families, to meet the children, for them to see us there, and they have no idea who we are, and we have no idea who they are. We have never, I think maybe once, but always welcomed with open arms. They look at us like, wow, that's all they can think of. And it's very, it's very emotional when you get these families that walk up to you and say, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because from them, it's heartfelt. It's not fake. It is true. And for us, that means a lot. And keeping Sergeant Chris Reyka's memory alive is one of the other things from way back in 2011. And every year, every officer that is killed in the line of duty, we go and visit them and the families. We like to focus mainly on the families, because that's what we're there for. We're there for the families. And obviously the other brothers and sisters that were there with them as well. But it's very emotional and very touching to be able to connect with families like that. And that's our purpose, is to connect with the families, so they know, even though we don't know them or their story, we will never let their loved one's honor be forgotten.
And that's the motivation right there. That's the motivation right there. There's so many things in life where you just want to throw in the towel and go, this is crazy. This is too much. This is too expensive. And you want to throw in the towel. And that is the motivation. That's the motivation. So you have the Christmas toy drive with the Police Hall of Fame every year. Now, what kinds of gifts are you giving out to the families? And it's for, I want to say, that the parents as well as the children. And when we talk about that, my next question is going to be, and maybe you can go into this twofold with it. How do you get those donations? What are some of the fundraisers held so you're able to give out, particular types of toys and electronics to these children and families and teens? How is that money becoming available, and what can people do to help? And that's the reason I'm asking, because I know the 9463 Foundation can always use help too.
Yes, we can. So the Christmas Toy Drive program started in the early 80s with the American Police Hall of Fame. They set out to send a Christmas and birthday gift to every child of a fallen officer throughout the United States, Canada, and the protected islands. After Chris fell, I didn't realize what an impact that would make on a family to get a Christmas gift from somebody you've never met, because your father or mother is no longer here any longer to provide a gift. So they were mailing gifts out. And we decided that we could help in their efforts. So then we took over and now deliver Christmas gifts to every child of an officer's family who now lives in the state of Florida, regardless of where they were perished. If they moved to Florida and they live in Florida now, we hand deliver Christmas gifts to them. So this program, the Hall of Fame first sends an email to each family in the state. There are 33 families that live in Florida who have a fallen officer as a parent. Then if they don't respond by email, they'll send one letter. If they don't respond by the letter, they make one phone call, trying not to bother the families and make sure they have an opportunity to participate. Should the family not respond for whatever reason, the Hall of Fame still sends the children their gifts as they normally would everybody else. The families that choose to respond to the letter and accept our invitation, we then get in contact with those families and we get a Christmas list as if they were our own children. So these are very nice gifts, very specific. Well, we don't really like doing gift cards because the parents usually very nice. Oh, just a little gift card would be nice. No, we challenge acceptance. So for an example, this year, there was an 8-year-old girl who lives in the center of the state who wanted to learn how to play a harp. A little odd, I have to say. It was a little okay, but they make beginner's harps, 36-inch harps, and one company makes them in New Jersey, and challenge accepted. So we raised the money, found the harp, had it shipped here. That's one of the gifts we delivered to that family that day. And the girl, she'll never forget the day she got the harp. She'll never forget the day we were there. She's 8 years old. The family's thrilled. We're thrilled. The shift at the sheriff's office who donated for that particular gift is thrilled that they were able to make that donation complete. And that's just one example. I believe this year we ended up with 13 families and plus or minus 30 children. The 17-year-olds, which is the last year they're in the toy drive program, receive a brand new laptop, whether they need one or not. That's what they get. And then we have a nice gift card for each of the spouses. The gift card is a way for the spouse to go out and buy something for themselves in lieu of their usually husband who is no longer with us. Through the foundation, can buy themselves a nice Christmas gift in memory of their loved ones. So that's the toy drive, and they're all hand delivered. We spend the weekend with our truck and trailer, and we drive around to each home delivering these gifts. It's a task. It is a task. And of course, funds and financing is always a burden and issue. And we hate to ask, but the website has a donation link button, and anyone who would like to donate or have some more information can always reach out to Connie or I, and we can explain in detail, in depth, with pictures and videos. And we encourage everybody to go on the toy drive with us. So it's not like we're just going to donate and good luck. We ask you to come out, meet the families, ride with us, follow behind us, go to the families' homes. We don't spend much time there. It's about a half hour for each family. And we get to do the introductions. We get to meet everybody, and the kids get to open their gifts, and the spouse gets to open their gifts. And we try not to cry in front of everybody because we're big, tough, strong men. And then we go off to the next family. And we do that over the course of a couple of days. So in a nutshell, that is what we do for the Christmas toy drive.
I'd like to share a story, if you wouldn't mind, Erika.
No, please.
There is a young man who was one of our recipients every year for the past 5 years, Hunter?
Hunter.
In Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, he's always like, oh, I just want some gift cards, So obviously we reach out to their mother. We're like, we're not doing gift cards. So she gives us these nice gifts that he would like. Well, of course, we fulfill the wish. But the last 2 years, what he wanted in specific, he wanted us to give him multiple gift cards so he can go to the local children's hospital and give it to the sick children who cannot leave the hospital. He goes to the hospital, visits them, and gives them a gift card, which, what a heart from a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Sending and showing his appreciation through us. But when they see his face and they get it, the pictures are priceless. And the idea that he would, at his age, because unfortunately, a lot of kids don't like that, but we see that we've touched him for so many years that he said, you know what, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to give it back. And he did. And that to us has been one of our nicer, very heartfelt stories.
And that started with you. He saw what you guys are doing, and that started with what he saw. And both of you, by the way, are completely hands-on. It's, Brian and Connie, and you do an amazing amount of work. Honestly, I have nothing but good things to say about what you're doing for these families. So anyone can ride. I heard Brian talking about anyone can ride. Do you have to be a deputy or an officer, or can anyone join the ride?
So the state ride in March, everyone's encouraged. You don't have to ride a motorcycle. It is a motorcycle ride, but we have several cars that follow us for the whole event or for a specific day. You don't have to go on the whole week. You could show up in the morning on, your local area, ride with us to that, department, eat lunch, meet everybody, and then continue on with us or go back to your life or whatever you want to do, or any combination in between. It's encouraged. For most of our supporters and riders, I'd say, 50% are active or retired law enforcement, and the other 50% are civilians who want to show their support for the law enforcement officers. And it's very hard for a civilian to show support because there's a wall between, the government police department and the civilians. We keep that wall up. You can't no pass, do not cross. And this does the opposite. We encourage you to come out and meet, the chiefs and the lieutenants and the captains of these agencies, meet the guys that you worked with every day, share the stories of that these guys had to tell that we don't usually get to tell the public that stuff. So there's a bunch of little tidbits in the rides and the Christmas toy drive that we do, and we could spend 2 hours talking about and never even come close to reaching all those ideas. The friends that we ride with are lifelong friends. Arnold Campbell was one of the first people to ride with us on the very first day. I'd never met him before. I didn't know him at all. And here it is, almost 15 years later, he's never missed a beat. he's a huge pulse on our foundation. Because of him, that's why we do the toy drive. And it was his idea to say, hey, we could do this. I go, we means me. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we can do it. And we could. And he was right. He showed me the vision and gave me the encouragement and support. And he's the sole reason I tease him during the ride. He's the reason that we take this on, but it's a great task. I'm glad that he did bring it up and encourage us to move forward with that part of the program. The newest part of our program is the American Police Hall of Fame has a brick paver project. It is designed to help build their facility next to the Hall of Fame. They raised the money and bought the property, and they're trying to raise money for the facility that's going to go there. And we gave us a whole section just for 9463 Foundation. And we donate now every year. And the first brick in our section belongs to Sgt Reyka, and it's from Sgt Reyka all the way to the last officer in Florida that
Wow.
in the line of duty. So we donate that for the families of the officers, so their loved one has a name, their order of the date that they were killed in line of duty. It's permanently displayed at the Hall of Fame, and it goes for a good cause to help them in their efforts to build their new facility. So there's a bunch of little facets that are in conjunction with our foundation and things that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Barry and Lori Shepard are the ones who own and operate the American Police Hall of Fame, and that is quite the spectacle. I think everyone needs to go see that. They do wonderful things over there. There was recently the groundbreaking for the, what is it called? The flame,
The flame, the
Eternal Flame.
the eternal flame. Yes.
The first single structure in Titusville with a flame at the end to remember all law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. It's a fantastic I can't wait to see it completed. It's under construction now. But if you do get a chance, the American Police Hall of Fame is in Titusville, Florida. It's down the street from the Kennedy Space Center. It's a 50,000 square foot museum with all kinds of artifacts and hands-on artifacts that you can touch and play with and look at. There's a wall inside the chapel, has all the fallen officers throughout the country that's engraved in there inside the air conditioned facility. It's a very nice venue for officers and the public to go and spend a day looking at that museum.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They've got police cars in there from what, the 60s? Maybe before that. I don't know.
One is pretty old. I'm
Yeah.
not real sure.
Yeah.
But,
Killed.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. And I want to remind everyone, by the way, any links that we did mention in this show will be in the info section. So if they are looking for the website, not only can they see it here, but if you look in the info section on the video or audio podcasts, there you'll find any websites and of course the Facebook pages and wherever else we can find you. Where can people find you? I know we mentioned the website. There is a 9463 Foundation Facebook page as well. Now, am I missing any?
no, those are the two.
Yeah, the
Okay.
two. That's
Okay.
mainly if they wanted, if to just look for us in their browser, they would just really have to put 9463 Foundation, and immediately it comes up, and right underneath it'll say www.sergeantchrisreyka.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you do that in Google, so much pops up. So many over the years, because I do believe, and I don't, to take it back, I don't know if they're still looking for a suspect, but it's when I was going through Google and I was checking on his name to see any updates and what we can add to this, there was a whole thing for years where they had no idea who had done it.
Right. They're still looking. The case is still active and open.
Right.
Yeah.
Investigation.
That is still a confidential matter. Yeah. And that's what I thought. That's what it was years ago. So, wow. But I mean, in his name, what a wonderful, wonderful organization you guys have really done. Did you want to add anything else? I love opening up this part. Did we miss anything? Anything you'd like to add at all?
No, just we encourage everybody to come out. There's 60,000 police officers in the state of Florida, and we met a fraction of them. And the ones we met are usually on bad times or bad circumstances. So I'm reaching out to those officers who want to come out and do a little something outside their department, outside the restraints of the agencies they work for, to come out in their cars or in their motorcycles, come out and ride with us and meet these families and just have a good time. We're not looking for donations. We're not looking to beat you up or get you to do anything other than come out and have a good time. Have some lunch.
Yeah.
Meet the departments, meet the guys that we ride with, come with us, go back to work, whatever you want to do, but come out and show the support for those who aren't here anymore.
And it is just the support, just what you said when you guys were talking about everyone going into a home, and, for Christmas or the ride that, that's happening in the next week. By the way, those dates again are March 21st
Through the 25th.
through the 25th. It's just an overwhelming sense of support when you've got 20 people walk into the home, and most of us are trying not to cry, but you're there, and that's what they want to see. It speaks volumes when that many people walk in who are so supportive of a family that's lost so much, and then you guys go in and you give back so much. So
We
thank
try.
you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you. And again, all those years ago, when I had seen that first news story, never did I think that in the next decade, I'd meet a foundation like this, an organization that's put together so much in honor of Sergeant Chris Reyka. And you're really giving back, to the families of fallen officers. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. And thank you for being on my podcast. This has been wonderful.
Having us.
Anytime.
Thanks for listening to Today's Talk with Erika. Join me next week for another discussion with the experts who help make life easier. Please visit my website, erikadelsordo.com, where you'll find all of my social media platforms and more. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Once again, thanks for listening.